Thanks, listeners, for joining us. It is Tuesday, and that is the day we set aside to get caught up in Elko City news. And fresh from last week's regular City Council meeting, we have City Vice Mayor Giovanni Pucinelli. Giovanni, most people know you as Pooch. Would you like to be referred to as Pooch during this radio show?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
That's how most people know me. I mean, where I work, there's people that I've worked with for 10 years that don't know my real name's Giovanni, so it's kind of fun.
All right.
Yeah.
So thank you for being on the radio show today. Again, Giovanni has been on the Elko City Council now. Tell us for how many terms?
I was appointed in August. I've been there 5 years now, 5 total years right now. Beginning of August, 5 years ago, that's when I was appointed for Bill Hentz. And I've been on there, and then I ran for election 4 years ago, a year and a half after that. So I've been on there basically a total of 5 years.
All right. And you have been vice mayor for the majority of that time, I think, under Reese Keener.
Yes, when Reese was when Mandy Simons left.
Oh, that's right.
She turned out, and so 2 years ago I became Mayor Pro Tem. So.
All right, Giovanni, thank you. And we're going to go through the agenda and look over some of the recent action. Among the top items, a lot of discussion about Elko High School's Warrior Field reconstruction. Now, the city has committed about $500,000 toward this from the Rec Fund?
Yes, it is. We have committed that to it, and I think that's going to be a great facility for Elko as a whole. Truly, they'll be able to use it in other ways, just not the high school and things like that. So I think it'll be a huge asset for the city. Bring in, I think, guests and things like that.
The Booster Club has launched a big reconstruction campaign, and they had their barbecue, I think, last week in advance of the new school year, Pooch, and it looked like a great turnout. They
had a great turnout from what I hear. I haven't talked to Drew about it and see how it all turned out for him, but I think they're doing a fabulous job raising the money and things like that. So if they get that up and running, it'll be wonderful.
I know I'm a proud mom of an alumni from Elko High School, and so
I'm an alumni too.
Yeah,
so long time ago, but I am an alumni.
It still matters, and yeah. So joining the Booster Club, the reason I think both you and I couldn't be at the barbecue is it was on Tuesday, so during the City Council.
Absolutely.
So we're looking over again the recent agenda from August 11th, just going over the decisions. There was a presentation which was really heartwarming. I have seen Jessica Rackley in action for years, and I didn't realize how many years that she spent in service to the Girl Scouts.
Absolutely. It's volunteering isn't an easy thing. I've done it for years with the Fair Board and things like that, but it's hard. It's time consuming, especially something like that. You look at all the trips you talked about and all the time that you got to put in with those girls to get them advanced, I guess is the best way to put it. They've done a wonderful job over there, and I'm glad we could keep the Girl Scout house with the city so they could still use it. Yeah,
about a year or so ago, there was an issue in that the Girl Scouts of the Sierra Nevada, they just couldn't sustain the Girl Scout house, which has been, historic for decades. And so they were going to rent it out. And the city said, no, we need to be able to retain the use. It was one of those situations where it's a city building and the city maintains it. And so for like $1 a year. So as you mentioned, the city was able to take that back over. And now you're able to run some parks and rec programs.
Absolutely. So, and then some other groups will be able to attend and use the facility as well.
Yeah. And most importantly, the Girl Scouts get to keep their home.
Absolutely. And that, as again, we mentioned that I'm a lifer here in Elko, and I've always known that building as a Girl Scout house. I've never known it as anything else, and I wouldn't know what to call it. So.
Yep. So it is still the Girl Scout house, but it is overseen by the city of Elko, and it is available for other groups if they're interested in a meeting space. Reach out to City of Elko Parks and Rec. Under personnel, Pooch, there were some introductions. We have some new patrol officers.
We did get 2 for the introductions, but they had a total of 4 in where the swearing in, so it was nice. It's good to see the more numbers for police. To me, you need to support them. They do a fabulous job for the city and keeping us safe.
So we know that there were quite a few items under personnel that were discussed during the council meeting, including designating, changing up some of the titles. Oh, and then also the critical needs that was brought back under NRS, because it looks as though there's some retired employees who are coming back to help us offset the critical labor shortage.
Yeah, renaming and the titles and things like that, I think was just kind of a updating of the levels, I guess, for the chief, and it makes it easier for him and to keep things straight. But for the critical need, to me, that was an important part, because it'll give him a chance to, a good example, he could rehire retired people and they can come back, and it's not the training. You don't have to do near the training. You're basically got somebody that's ready to go, boots on the ground, I guess is the best way to put it.
I do. One of your colleagues on the council is Claire Morris. He is a retired police chief and a retired Elko County undersheriff for about 40 years. I think he's been in law enforcement and in service to the community. And I think it's worth mentioning that, when he came back out of retirement for the sheriff's office, he had to go to post, Pooch.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And he actually bested many, many of those young recruits. I want to say he was the top of the class, but
I don't see him as often now, but I still see Claire running around the town a little bit, out for his little jogs, and I admire him for that. I can't do that because it beats me up too much, and I'm lucky to still referee basketball a little bit, but it's not a run, it's a jog now. But I'm still lucky to do that, so it's good to see it. But the way I want to think about that with those, but I just think that it's nice to see that we can hire these people back and then come serve the community.
And speaking of physically fit, we have Officer Bart Ortiz, and he's out running too all the time. And now he runs with his daughter.
Yeah, that's awesome to see.
She might be on high school cross country, which would be cool for us, because she's probably really talented.
Yeah, my thing was, I was a baseball player. I was taught if you jog, it's jogging around a home run. Otherwise, it was you sprint a second. That's about as far as I had to go. So,
talking with our guest today, he's vice mayor for the city of Elko, and he is updating us on recent city council action as of the August 11th meeting. There was a closed session, and wondering how maybe that turned out. We know the closed sessions are to protect labor negotiations, Pooch, but the results of the closed session are usually made public. Was that something brought back, or?
No.
They're still in negotiations?
They're still in negotiations on that one. That one's tough to talk about, so hopefully it's positive. Let's just keep up the favorable look and sounds coming from it, but that's all I can say really truly about that.
Yeah, this is interesting. It's definitely been a prolonged, I think they've been a year with an old contract. Is that about right?
They signed a contract, a 1-year contract.
Oh, so, they did give us a 1 year.
Yeah,
okay.
We got that last year. So when was that? We saying that. So now they're back in negotiations again with the patrols. So
okay.
Hopefully we get something worked out with them.
Yeah, it'll be talked about. I know there's at least one candidate running for council who has kind of carried the torch for the police, and so I'm sure that'll be an issue we can talk more about.
Absolutely.
It is difficult, as you said, because these labor negotiations are behind closed doors. It's prescribed by NRS. It's not something that city leaders are choosing to keep behind closed doors.
With that, I admire both sides, city and patrol, because it's not easy. I couldn't imagine it myself, because thank God I've never been involved in a collective bargaining. I am pretty fortunate where I work, but it's a tough process, and you feel for them.
So we'll get an update on that, obviously, when it comes back on a future agenda. It's probably going to be an ongoing agenda item until that issue gets resolved. Under appropriation, this is also drew a lot of conversation from your colleagues on the council as a Vice Mayor, Giovanni Pucinelli, but talking about the future Elko City Hall. So you guys had to look at 4 different packages, and tell us how that discussion worked out, wouldn't you? Wouldn't mind?
The whole thing, the way the process went, when we got going on that, it started where we had the design from, I think it was Lombard Conrad is who it was with. We had the design process, but they broke it down into 4 separate little segments. And the conversation started where we could break those out, or what we could break out, and things like that. And if I remember correctly, I think it was 1 and 2. I don't think we could break those 2 out, but it was mentioned about 3 and 4 if we could break those out. And offer them locally, I guess is the best way to put it, which I admire, yes. But to me, that would slow the process up. is probably why I went against that. I want this process done. Let's get this going, because if we delay it, prices might go up. And so I want to try and keep this as low cost as we can and keep it as feasible as we can.
So the City of Elko is in contract now for design services for the new City Hall facility. It would be located on the same site as the original City Hall, so there'll be some discussions about that. The package that was approved, is it the total $1.6 million?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it was 1, 2, 3, and 4. It was all approved.
Okay. And just for listeners' benefit, breaking this out, they did discuss, could we give some of the, say, furniture services to locals, or could we get an art design service from a local architect? And that's what this discussion and conversation was about, if you are interested in that, right?
One thing on the art side of it, I think we were going to make sure that we can get some local artists involved when it comes for the art that's being picked. That's one thing we want to make sure that we do.
Yeah, there have been some beautiful art installations, and we have had confidence, no reason not to have, in our local art community. And I'm sure that they would love to be involved in designing, for example, the 9/11 sculpture in front of City Hall, Pooch. That, and I know I'm not just speaking for, my own personal feelings, but there is a lot of community attachment to that.
Oh, absolutely. The other thing that it really made, another one just recently, is the American flag down at the county complex.
Yes.
The mosaic there was just, I'm sitting there looking, I'm just stunned at how many different little art pieces all over that little mosaic. They did a fantastic job on that. That one's impressive.
Yeah, every time now I've gone in the county administrative building, I stop. Oh, I see another tile that I hadn't noticed before. Or, yeah, it really is a very beautiful America 250 art installation that was done by local artists and residents. So moving on to this, again, approving the package, the design for 1.6. Any idea when we might start to see what our City Hall will look like?
I think they've already got an initial design on what it looks like. I think this is going to be basically the design, the whole process of the whole building and things like that. The rough design is already done, and they already got that out. I think that was probably about 2-3 months ago where we saw that.
Okay, so this is... This was presented, so during the budget process, as you said, the council approved for the City Hall to be the priority. This is phase 2 with the design services, final design, construction documents, bidding and negotiations, construction management, the site plaza design, because that's what's going to be done to preserve that 9/11 sculpture.
Absolutely.
I think people are adamant about that. Don't relocate that. And then the furniture and art design. So did we determine the furniture and art, that is going to be done by Lombard Conrad as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So, but hopefully emphasizing that we'd like to have local input.
Absolutely.
And I think some of the discussion did center, if my recollection serves me, Pooch, that Lombard Conrad is an out-of-town firm, but they have done many, many projects.
Oh, absolutely. They have around town. Yes, they have.
Okay.
Yep.
So,
I think that's in the process when we picked them out, that they have done some numerous buildings around here. That's why we picked them.
Okay. And they did have, for a long time, they did have a local architect that worked
Yes, they did.
Yeah. So, and who knows, maybe one day someone
Hopefully
will
they might
migrate
come
back
back.
here. Yeah. So moving on to new business considered by the council during the Tuesday meeting. This was the Conserve Nevada Grant Award for the Harp Trail, and the city's been awarded $90,000. The total project's $150,000. There was some discussion on that.
Yes, that'll be nice because it'll connect it to the ponds that are going to be built down there later on down the road a little bit with, I think the Department of Wildlife, I think is who it was. So that'd be kind of nice. Hook that, then you'll have a walking path all the way from there down to the sports complex, which will be nice.
I don't know, you weren't in government at the time, Pooch, but we had a wonderful city planner at the time, Dennis Crooks, and he envisioned that whole Harp Trail. And it's so nice to see every little piece come into play. And I think about him, and he brought some architecture students from UNLV at the time, and they were just crazy about Elko. And they said, you have so much here to work with, and people.
A lot of potential down there.
Yeah,
there
exactly. So
I grew up right. I remember as a kid, we were real young, and 9th Street was a rail bridge. It was a beam, I-beams is all it was the bridge, and it was flat going across the river right there.
Really?
Yeah, and that's where I grew up, right in that area. for a little while, but then I moved over to Juniper Street, and that's where I grew up most of the time. But it was funny at the time. You wouldn't even think that
was that a vehicle bridge?
Yeah, it was. It was only 2 lanes though.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm dating myself again.
So we'll have to ask the museum, dig out some pictures of that old bridge, because for those of us because I moved here at the tail end of Project Lifesaver, anyway, no sense going down memory lane, but that is interesting to note. Also on the agenda today, this is a big item. This has to do with the water rights priority agreement with Bruce Miller and Sidney Miller and the Bar L Ranch. There is so much online chatter about the ongoing data center issue. So what can you tell us about what the city's involvement?
This one here, I think it was kind of data centers are a hot topic right now. That's the easiest way to put it. And I think there's a little misconception on this one. This basically had to do with the water that the wastewater plant makes and creates the effluent water. And that's all this topic was for us. But yes, there's rumors flying around about data centers coming in and this being part of it, the water going to them. It was never planned for that. This is just an agreement between us and those people that irrigate up on their alfalfa fields. The fairgrounds get some, the golf course gets some of this effluent water. And if they don't use it for this, the agreement says that we shut it off, period, end of story. But I think a lot of misconception going around right now is that it was possibly they could sell these water rights. They can't. Not these particular ones. Now, if that's different from his private rights at that ranch, to me. And if he wants to sell his private water rights, he has every right to do that. It's personal property. That's the tough part about this, in my eyes. But again, I think we mentioned in there that we've got no applications for data centers. You've heard interest on them, but nothing coming down the pipe right now for us.
Tuesday's vote was unanimous. So what Giovanni Pucinelli is describing again is this water rights priority agreement. The Millers had been using effluent water to irrigate their ranch, and they had been doing it for at least the last decade. And then it was discovered that the agreement had expired but was renewed by the city for just the effluent is only used for the irrigation purposes.
And dust control, you can use it as well, because that's what they use it for up at the fairgrounds during this time.
Okay.
So they're not using drinking water. They have a line that comes right to the next, if I'm correct, it comes in between the highway, the freeway, and the track, and then they come and pump it down into a state. And that's what they do all their water in for this month, because they use so much down there at this time of year, or maybe about 2 months, I think, through the summer that they use it.
And they do use the effluent to irrigate the golf course, as you mentioned, too. Mm-hmm. So there is a specific line for that.
Yep.
So my job in this role to Pucinelli is Pooch is to ask these questions about NDAs, the non-disclosure agreements. This online group is especially insistent that there have been some non-disclosure agreements signed. Do you know anything about NDAs? I researched them. They are highly unethical for city officials.
I haven't seen anything myself. That's a new one to me. I'll be honest with you on that one. I've just not seen anything myself.
There was also some...
Because, you know what, you sit there and think about that. I mean, everything's supposed to be so transparent. That makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
I mean, why would I sign something like that if we're supposed to be transparent? To me, I wouldn't.
We have a very involved city attorney.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So this, I have been researching this. I just want listeners to know. So we have not found evidence of any non-disclosure agreements signed by city officials, elected officials within the city of Elko. This has not become a county issue in the way that it is a city issue, and so those same questions could be asked of the county at some point.
I'm sure it will be eventually.
So again, just by suggesting online and having these online conversations, which are for everybody to see, it's been insinuated that the latest conversation I saw was just this morning, something about a city planner saying that they couldn't say more. And that just makes it seem, really suspect. And they could have been talking about someone on the city planning commission, or they could have been talking about an employee, but they don't name names, Pooch. And so we don't know who or what they're actually talking about.
Yeah.
they're insinuating that something's wrong.
There's a lot of insinuations, but that's a tough one. I mean, if somebody, you would hope that they would come forward with it, and I would, to me, I would kind of expect it. If there's something going on wrong, bring it up. That's the best way to solve it. You don't know there's a problem until it's brought to you.
So also at Tuesday's meeting, Councilwoman Marissa Lostra, Councilman Claire Morris, and there was one other council member who took issue with the statements that have been made publicly.
That one, I do recall that one. And
who was the other council person?
Mayor Keener.
Oh, it was Mayor Keener. Thank you.
Mayor Keener was the first one that brought it up, but insinuating that was. She denied it, but to me, she insinuated it, that we're taking money under the table or a bribe. I guess is the best way to put it. I don't mean to say it that way, but to me, I don't think anybody on this council would even think that. If somebody, again, that to me, wow, that just kind of leaves you speechless a little bit. That's kind of shocking that somebody would accuse you of that. Yeah,
it was for both Marissa and for Claire, it was emotional to suggest something like that, and then also as Reese was pretty firm, and so I think it's important to mention those things because it came up at City Council. People can go back and look, but again, the woman that made the remarks, no sense identifying her. I'm not sure if she's been to council before or she'll be back.
I don't recall seeing her.
A lot of this is online chatter, and we don't know where it comes from. To be fair, some people may be local. Obviously, some of them are. So.
And I think everybody else is part of the council. I mean, I'm a firm believer. If you want to talk to me, come talk to me. I don't get on Facebook. I don't chat and stuff like that. I don't believe in that. You want to talk to me, come talk to me by my face in front of me, and we can have that discussion. And it'll be a discussion because I'll respect you because you have an opinion, but respect me because I might have a different opinion. But it's just pure respect. Just come talk to that person. Go to the horse, ask the horse, and get the answer from the horse's mouth.
There's always two sides, and sometimes many more sides to a story.
And there's a lot of views out there too. Yes, true.
A lot of this, obviously, I've learned about from the city of Elko and my days with the Elko Independent and Kelly Goygachia and Lynn Anderson and Max Wignall. I mean, those are people that I respected deeply and learned so many things from them. And that's really the reason, staying in this community has been so important to me is that we represent these issues. And if you have names of people that you are accusing of wrongdoing, you have to bring those. If not to Elko Broadcasting Company, take them to the Elko Daily Free Press.
Oh, absolutely.
They have a new editor, and she is doing a very good job, I think, and especially being so new to the community.
I get the paper, and I've noticed that I like the hard copy. I don't know why.
I like a hard copy, too.
I don't know what it is about.
Are you getting it in the mailbox?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but there's something about snapping that paper open. I still get it online as well, but it's just, I like that hard copy myself. And the paper's changed since she's took over, and I admire them. You're starting to see a little bit more of the local stuff, which I think is great.
Yeah, absolutely. She's got some great reporters.
Absolutely.
Lydia's there, and obviously Alina, I think is her name, and so I'm glad to know there is a hard copy that you can still get it. I had a hard copy for a while, and then it was just inconsistent. But that was years ago. So I'm glad to hear it's coming back.
Even if it might be inconsistent, I don't care. I like that hard copy. If I get it once a week, I'm happy.
Talking with Giovanni Pucinelli, he is vice mayor for the city of Elko, and bringing us up to date on the recent council meeting. Thank you for that. I'm just checking the time. Oh yeah, we've got plenty of time. Other issues that were brought up during council, I just want to make sure. Oh, here was another consideration, unless there's anything else on the data center issue that you want folks to know.
That, like I said earlier, it's a hot topic. And I know everybody's sitting there asking questions. Are you going to vote for it? Are you going to vote for it? And right now, I would say, no, how can you? There's not enough information about it. And we would need a lot more either regulations, guardrails, guidelines, assurances, you name it, before anything would even take place. And during that meeting, a lot of people says, well, we want you to be transparent. Trust me, if a data center came up in front of the city council, we're going to let people know.
Oh, there's no way you could keep something like that. And it goes before the city planning commission before it ever gets to council.
We will. I mean, this something wouldn't be, a consent agenda end. I mean, it would be a very transparent process.
Mm-hmm. So. Well, speaking of that, though, I do want to revisit quickly because the flock camera issue also became rather dramatic there. And I don't think the police chief, he wasn't at the meeting, and so I think he felt badly about how that all came about. But there are many, many valid questions about surveillance that we're all subject to anymore.
Absolutely. That was another one. That's another hot topic, too. And yes, you're getting in on people's privacy. I understand that side of it. But again, that's something I think that may be very helpful, again, with a lot of constraints. And if they break those rules, severe punishment to me. But otherwise, I mean, the people, they had a right to complain about that. I agree with them. And the chief, I think, overall didn't want to stir up a lot of stuff within the city. And he made a great decision to help us out. So.
Yeah, there could be another system at a future date. And
you never know. Absolutely.
License plate readers. That's just what we should emphasize. That's all he was after was license plate readers.
And I was talking to the sheriff, I think that morning, and he made a comment about how it's helped him solve a couple crimes recently, where a license plate from here got caught over in two of them over in Utah or something. One was a kidnapping and one was a murder or something like that he mentioned. And I if it's used the right way, I think it's a great tool. But people will take advantage of it. And you hate to say it, there's not a lot of bad players out there, but you're going to run into them eventually.
Talking with our Elko City Vice Mayor and recounting, updating what was discussed and decided during the recent City Council meeting and a couple of meetings. We do want to also mention that we got good news from our airport manager during reports on those airport flights.
Yes, the numbers are up. I think last month was one of the highest months we've ever had, I think, in complete planements. So he was pretty excited about that. So. Like I always tell people, if I'm that excited about something, if I had a tail, you'd see it wagging right now. So,
yes, he was definitely. Jim has worked hard.
He's done a great job out there.
He really
He's a
has.
Fantastic man.
We are fortunate to have Jim Foster at the helm and his staff. He's very
absolutely.
Small but dedicated staff, and they're getting ready for Sky Fair September 18th. And
I'm looking forward to that. It'll be a fun event.
Yeah, they're going to combine that with balloons and bubbly, the wine walk or bubbly walk downtown Elko, sponsored by the Chamber, and the Balloon Festival too. So it's all going on the same weekend.
Yep, that'll be it'll be good for Elko to have a lot of people in town.
Yeah. So we also wanted to mention there were some Parks and Rec improvements that James Wiley, Parks and Rec Director, was excited to roll out too.
Oh, those brand new pickleball courts down there, and the basketball courts refinished, and the handball court got refinished as well. I don't remember the last time they really did the concrete work on either one of the basketball. But when I was a kid, we used to play a lot of basketball down there, so it'd be nice. And down there with the pickleball courts, I think that's going to be a great addition to the rec department for Elko. There's a lot of people that play it. I think me and my wife have talked about we might even get a couple rackets and start playing. So. Yeah, it'll be good for me.
Looks like fun. And then we did want to give a plug for the next September, the first Tuesday, which is coming up the first Tuesday in September. That's why they're called First Tuesday meetings.
The chief did a great job with that. This next one, if I remember correctly reading, it's down at the county building, and it's going to be, the Elko County Emergency, is what, if I remember correctly?
Yeah, emergency services, yes.
The chief's done a fantastic job, and everybody that's involved in it. It's a great event. You go to them, you learn things, and it's great for the community to come in and learn. Like the last one was up at the Highway Patrol and the State Police. Excuse me, and I learned things about them, and where some of the laws I didn't know that it's not criminal until it's like 40 miles an hour, I think, or 30 miles an hour over the speed limit, and then it's criminal. But you just sit there and think about things like that, what these guys are dealing with. And it's just great for information. So I recommend the community show up for these.
The next first Tuesday is going to be September 1st 5 to 6:30 p.m. It's free. It is family friendly because they do serve some light refreshments. It is in the County Commission meeting room in the Nanini Administrative Building. We'll keep reminding folks of that. It is a partnership of local emergency responders and rescuers. And just as you said, that meeting at the State Police really showed how our law enforcement works closely together. And I'll just put in a plug too that anybody listening to this program, if you ever suspect a crime, you suspect crimes against children, domestic violence, if you or someone you care for is being victimized, reach out to local law enforcement. Do not air these concerns on social media. We have seen some really tragic results. Even people who say, oh, well, there was a missing child and I circulated it. You don't know where some of this comes from. If it doesn't come from law enforcement, there is a real possibility it is coming from another source which may intend to do our community harm. You know, if someone circulates a Facebook post saying, well, this child is missing, you don't know if it's a custody issue. You don't know if it's a trafficker. If it comes from law enforcement, then you can be assured that it comes from a legitimate source. Use
that source. It's a very valid source, and they're very, if there's an issue, don't worry, they'll help you get to it, you know, and figure it out. Last night, I'll be honest with you, I was sitting at a stoplight and I witnessed a little kid getting hit. Not hard, it just tipped him over. But it's something, just remember, right now all the kids are back in school. And with just be safe. Look at the crosswalks because the kids are out and again. So that's the one thing. He got up and walked away from it, but it was just a small little accident, but it's just something tough to witness. Because I sat there and watched it and I'm going, no. I said it out loud probably 3 or 4 times. And it was an eye opener. So please watch out for the kids. They're back in school. Thank you, Pucinelli. Giovanni Pucinelli, who goes by Pooch. I'm just not used to calling you that. It's okay. Thank you for being our guest and updating us. He's a vice mayor for the city of Elko, and we appreciate your time today. Thank you very much, and I look forward to coming back.